Hey, Daryl, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you doing?
And we're living the dream, Daryl. We're living the dream. Well, Daryl, it's so funny because I look at you and your success that you've had, not only of exiting your MSP, but more importantly, how you've done it to help now other people who were in the same situation, right? Trying to figure out their business, how to get their business even running more efficiently and effectively. And of course, you've done that, and you've done it with what I consider blood, sweat, and tears, and maybe a couple bloody noses. Um, but how has it been like going through this transformation of your business and how you've arrived to this place where you've now exited and you're enjoying other projects and other different solutions that you're working on?
Yeah, I think you just, I mean, you kind of get, especially in the MSP business, it's a hard business. It's hard to figure out. It's hard to get past the blocks in the road. There's not a lot of people out there that are just going to come in and say, here's the answer. Go ahead and do this and move forward. And so you figure it out, and you sometimes it takes 30 days, and you have an answer, and you push that answer out, and sometimes it takes 4 years, and you're stagnant for 4 years while you try to figure out that next step and what's what's in the way of growing. And then you figure it out, and you have these hockey sticks for the next couple of years.
Right. Well, and that's where I want to really dive in today because a lot of people have to replace themselves in their business. And that's probably the hardest part for every MSP I've ever talked to because they're the technician, they're the CEO, they're the accountant, they're the sales, they're the I mean, my list goes on and on, Daryl. I mean, it's like so many hats that you're like, which hat do you not wear in business, right? And I just feel like some of them get stuck because they can't replace themselves because they don't know how to do that.
And these are barriers, I think, that come with just starting a business as a tech, which most of us have done, right? Most MSPs started as a techs. We like being techs. We want to be techs. We want to be working on tech problems. And all of a sudden, we're business owners having to work on business problems. And if we don't figure that out, we don't grow, and we're out of business in a few years.
Well, here's a case scenario, and I'm sure we're going to go right into how to bill more for your L2 L3. Tell me what the pricing journey was like, Daryl, when you were trying to figure out your pricing per seat. I mean, this is where people leave money on the table.
Well, so we looked at a lot of different options. Originally, we kind of decided to be the unique player and not go into the flat fee per user pricing, where we just stuck with hourly pricing and said we're going to be 125 for everything, and if you call us, you're paying us at 125 an hour, and if you don't call us, you're not paying us anything. And it worked for us because we had a unique position. Everybody else was doing flat fee managed services, and we were doing hourly.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
The more you can differentiate yourself, the better, and I think that's part of it. But what we found was as we started growing and hiring higher level technicians that needed to be available more and more often, we didn't want them billing 40 hours a week. We wanted that high level technician to be available for the emergency that came in, for when our customers were at their worst. We wanted that tech to be able to step in and take care of it, and not have a ticket sitting in front of him where he's trying to reset 27 passwords, right?
Right.
And so what you learn over
Real
time,
pain story, guys. Real pain of a story here.
what what you learn over time is that L3s, and to an extent L2s, are not paid for the amount of time that they're able to bill for you. They're paid for the amount that they can be available.
Right.
And sometimes as an L3, that means you're available at 2 o'clock in the morning. And sometimes it means you go home at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because there really isn't that much for you to do. And so what we started looking at was how do we bill for them to be available to our customers, rather than trying to bill them hourly and say, well, instead of 125, that L3 has to be 185 because he cost me $110,000 a year, and the L2 cost me 65,000 a year. Well,
Right.
so what we went into was we had a subset of customers that were willing to pay more for L3 support, right? These larger clients who had their own internal IT teams, but maybe not the knowledge that our L3s had, wanted to be able to call in, but they didn't want to talk to our NOC. They didn't want to talk to our L2s. They
Right.
wanted to talk
Right.
directly to an L3. And so we were able to charge them monthly for availability, just for the availability of being able to call an L3 tech. No hours. They still paid for the hours, but you're able to charge for that availability. so that that client can call and get in directly with somebody who can help them with their problem and not have to go through the, well, the L1 looked at it for an hour and then he gave up and sent it on to the L2 and they gave up. And, after 3 or 4 hours, finally we're talking to an L3 when we had already tried all these things. So I think number one is at the top, you bill for availability. You don't bill for the hours that they're spending on a problem. You have to have that recurring income coming in just for having that person available on your staff. And then two, you have to push work downhill. So your L3s shouldn't be doing password resets. They should be available more often by giving up the work that they don't need to be doing. They don't need to be taking tickets constantly. They need to be available when they need to be available. And sometimes that's for escalations, and sometimes that's for outside work that they're getting paid to be available for. But you push that work downhill. So L3s are pushing that work down to L2s. L2s should be busy a lot. And then L2s need their time freed up to bill more hours by pushing work down into the NOC. And that's really where we help in coming in and building out a farm team among your NOC, to where we want that NOC to be almost overloaded with staff, so that you're training them constantly. You constantly have those NOC techs that are available to do higher and higher level work. And eventually they're ready to move up into the L2 and L3 positions over time. And so if we're doing that training for the NOC techs or the L1 techs, the more training we do, the more that work that can be pushed down from L2s into the NOC. One of the biggest things that we train on and that we encourage our clients to push downhill is communication. Our L2 techs are wasting a ton of time making phone calls, talking to clients, trying to gather information. Where if you can teach these NOC techs for $15 to $18 an hour how to ask the right questions, how to talk to clients successfully, how to be nice about what they're doing, how to have a decent conversation with people on the phone. And then, you can have them managing your emergency processes. You can have them managing basic queue communication. So as opposed to that L2 stopping what they're doing every hour to make a phone call and say, hey, we're still working on a problem, the NOC tech can take care of that stuff. So it's really about the money that you're going to make is by pushing all of that work downhill, leaving the people at the top available more often. And then, really it's about getting in there and training those NOC techs so that every day they're learning something new and they can take more and more work off the shoulders of the people above them.
Well, and that's the thing, guys. I think the jumping off point, and Daryl, I think this is that moment when people realize, one, they have to replace themselves so that they can make more money, because no one's doing sales and marketing. No one's doing any of the sales call, because the technician, CEO, business owner is doing it all. Second, I don't know if you guys heard this, but even in his MSP, as he was growing, that realization that availability was the bridge to really start making that revenue back. But guys, this is the thing. Many of you have current L1s and L2s who need to get that training so that they're on a career path, they're staying with you, they know the clients. This is the solution that Total Seminars provides. They're able to take your in-house talent and help them grow on a career path with the training that Daryl's putting on, because Daryl understands every single pain point as you're making this transition from stop being everybody's problem solver, where you can actually become the CEO to do the sales and marketing that you're not doing because you got everything else to do. So Daryl, how does that happen in the training that you're providing at Total Seminars? Really seeing this bridge being built between the L2 and L3, that training to help the CEO really move out of this technician role. What does that look like? What are they going to experience with you and the team?
Yeah, so really, as you push work downhill, the problem becomes I'm having to do sales and marketing now. And so my L3 can't take work from me because if I have to give up work to my L3, I have to stop and train him on how to do that. Right. My L3 has to stop and train the L2 how to do the work that they're taking over from him. My L2s have to stop billing hours and train their NOC techs to take on that work. And so we go in the completely opposite direction, right? We start training at the NOC. You're bringing on somebody that knows very little about how to do anything in an MSP. And we're training them on a daily basis to do the day-to-day tasks that they're going to have to do and that they're going to have to take from L2s. So we're teaching them how to do that communication so that the next day they can go in there and talk to the L2s and say, you don't have to train us, just start sending us the communications you want to get to the customer. And we'll take on that and take, an hour off your plate tomorrow. we're going to take on those password reset tickets, right? We're going to train you how to do those password reset tickets so that they can take that off the shoulders of the L2s and let the L2s take something off the shoulders of the L3s. So every day they're coming in and taking more and more off the plate of the people above them and allowing those people to take the work off the plate of those people above them.
And guys, I want to really make this really that next step for all of you who are watching is that next step, especially in a career path, you're going to keep retention. Keep your techs happy because they feel like they're growing with you and that they're not going to have to relearn anything. They're already dealing with your clients. They already know the ones that you have so many tickets on. Again, Daryl, I hate when MSPs go, I've got 3,000. I'm like, that's not a good thing to wear a badge on. You're not supposed to have that many tickets open, especially if your team have the right training, you have the right infrastructure, and that you have the right, what I consider processes in place, Daryl. That is key to how to build more for your L2s and L3s.
Our metric was for an L2 who's really kind of the core of an organization, right? They're the ones that are out there taking the most tickets. They're the ones billing the most hours. We expect them to have between 10 and 12 tickets open at any point in time. What we see when we go into a lot of these organizations is they have 25 to 30 tickets open at a time, and they're spending half of their day just managing their queue. And so, one of the things that we train knock techs is queue management, how to
Yep.
keep your ticket queue down.
Right.
And not only how to keep your ticket queue down, how to go through somebody else's ticket queue and start handling communication for them right now. Start organizing that queue for the L2 that has 30 tickets open so that he doesn't have to waste half of his day doing that.
Right.
Organize it and tell him what the most important things to do today are. And manage those queues for those different employees who maybe aren't doing it on their own.
Right, totally. And guys, just to kind of make sure next week we're putting on a webinar specifically to the L2, L3 and how to make more revenue with your MSP because of the fact that those are the guys who are managing your clients. They're going to be helping with the overflow. And then, of course, you're now able to go do more sales and marketing yourself. That is the biggest play when you have a team that's trained. Total Seminars is understanding the entire process of decreasing tickets, improving processes, and overall the morale of your L2s and L3s. They're wanting you to retain this talent that you've worked so hard to build your business around. So I cannot imagine, Daryl, why anyone wouldn't want to make more money with their current MSP and increase their retention and happiness of their L2s and L3s.
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest problems we see right now and that we had in our business was, before we started creating that farm team on the knock and really pushing work downhill, work was going uphill, right? It was L2s couldn't figure out how to do something. They were passing it up to L3s. L3s already had a queue full of work, and now they have the other work that's coming uphill. And now they're overloaded and they're billing 40, 45 hours a week. And you're just not going to keep an L3 like that. He doesn't want to
No,
be billing 40, 45 hours a week. He
no,
wants to be doing high level work at a reasonable amount, right?
right.
And he should be available for customers, which is why you have to get this system in place of pushing that work downhill and training your employees how to take that work from from the people above them.
Exactly. Well, Dara, I can't wait for next week. Our webinar is going to be great. I understand so much more how you guys are helping them really solve their problems, especially with the availability, strategy for revenue, the L2, L3, how to get them really working on the tickets and the projects that really need to happen. So, Daryl, thanks again for always leading the way for MSPs to actually become more profitable. I totally appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course, and we have a little more time next week, so I'll go into some specifics about how we worked out the solution to billing for L3 availability too.
I'm telling you guys, he's given his secret playbook because he's been there. He's been doing this and exited his MSP successfully because he said you can't keep doing it the same way because you're not going to become profitable. You're going to have unhappy clients. You're going to have more tickets than you should be, and you're not really using a training as the best way possible. And this is what you got to do, guys. Training is that key to the success of your organization. And of course, Daryl, you're going to be a wonderful instructor to all of our MSPs who sign up for the program and understand the value of training for their companies.
Yeah, you have to break through those barriers, or it's just, it can become awful owning one of these things.
I That will be our next LinkedIn Live, my friend. Daryl, thanks again so much, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Man, Daryl, that was so